Hey, I'm Elan Lea. You're watching Entertainment Focus.
How are you?
Very good. Good to see you again.
It's been 2 years. What have you been doing?
A whole bunch of stuff in 2 years. Well, kind of surrounded by, you can't see all of it, but been surrounded by these four walls in the studio here in London. Been in and out Los Angeles, New York, back home in South Africa, writing a whole lot of music, but very busy in general.
So last time we saw you, I think we were talking about how you were recording your album, which is eventually going to be its Conversations Over Time.
That's right.
Tell us a bit about the album and about the work that you've put into it.
Oh, with pleasure. Conversations Over Time is quite a special thing to me. Started off where I'd written 3 or 4 songs, not even knowing that I'd written each one about a different conversation that I'd had with someone. And then I started kind of going through what I'd written, all the lyrics that I had, and I just decided, well, actually, they're all conversations I've had with people and experiences I've had. So let's keep that theme, and everything that I write for the album, I'll try and steer along that way. And it just so happened that I'm 18 songs down the line for the new album, and each song has been a conversation I've had with someone in my life, or even myself, for example. You always think to yourself something. So each song's been a conversation. I produced it all here, actually. I don't know, well, you can't really see him, but he's working away just to my side here. My producer Mark Cruz produced the whole album. If you know Bastille, they're actually good friends of mine as well, so let me give them a little hello. Mark's done the whole Bastille album, and yeah, it's just been great doing Conversations Over Time. It's like it gives me the chance to express every thought I've almost ever had, and get the ability to do it through song, to hopefully that will touch other people's lives in a positive way. There's some special songs like Broken Man and Butterfly Best Friend, which I wrote for some ex-girlfriends, and then I had those were beautiful moments, and then I had angry moments where I wrote things like She's Gone, and well, she was gone. So that was the the kind of emotions that we had. But I think there are things that people can kind of relate to on an everyday basis, where this is a conversation you would have had, or with someone, and maybe one of these songs will fit into your experience, and maybe in your mind, however you relate to the song, it would relate to your conversation.
It's been quite a long creative process. Has that been quite nice to have, that long creative process, or is it quite frustrating that it's taken as long as it has, or which way do you see it?
It's a bit of both, really. I think the creative part's beautiful because it's never finished, which is a positive and a negative, because you musicians, well, me particularly, we're always going on I can do better. So I've done something great, but I'm going to beat it with my next one. I want it to be better. But in terms of Conversations Over Time, it was never quite seen as an album until recently, when we had realized that I had a whole bunch of songs, put it under a label, because they were all conversations. Now it's kind of been, I'll just write and I'll create and I'll make something that I enjoy doing. And now it's actually getting to the point where I'm like, oh, but now I've got it all. So maybe it's taking too long. Maybe I need to get it out. Maybe it's just now it's starting to frustrate me, but I want to share it with the whole world. And hopefully I get the opportunity to do so, because I guess that's the gamble in music. You could make the biggest masterpiece in the world, but someone may never hear it.
And how would you describe the overall sound of the album?
The sound, sonically, I'd say that you're talking about a pop rock album. I think if I had to give you something that explains the sound in a lyrical content or lyrical direction, it's a real sound. The theme behind it has been to play all the instruments with real instruments as far as we could, and to keep it all real and natural. The idea behind the pop rock aspect is that some of it's a bit more up tempo and really going for it, where some of it's actually just sitting at the piano and just allowing space to express what you're feeling.
And as we're in the studio, tell us, what are you like in the studio? Are you very hands-on? Do you get into the nitty-gritty of everything? Yeah,
I like to think so. I don't like to crowd people too much. It's like if I wanted to do hands-on everything, I should play every instrument myself then. But it's more like I like to give the guitarist his room to do what he's doing, and Mark as well, my producer, who's excellent at production, of course. So I try not to step on anyone's toes, but I mean, we're all a team, so everyone's input is valued, and if generally they allow the artist to kind of have a big say in what's going on, even though it's their profession to play guitar or play bass or drums or whatever. We're all trying to make the best sound that we can. In terms of me, I think I'm a warrior. I'm always going, oh God, should we do it again? For me personally, when I'm doing my vocals, it's like, well, have I got it? Do I need to do it again? Should I have done better? I'm always worrying about something, but I have to, I'm learning to quiet that out, just quiet the mind. But I love studio, so I guess me and studio is just fun, and I'm always feeding everyone junk food, so I think they love it as well.
And it's quite rare, isn't it, particularly in pop, for an artist to have so much say in the music that they actually create.
Yeah.
So do you feel quite fortunate that the people that you are working with do allow you to have your input in that way?
I guess so, and I guess particularly because I'm my own record label, essentially. Where I put my own music out, I own it as well, the publishing, well, for the time being. I think it's better when the artist has the, well, I don't know if better is the correct word, but it's good to know that the artist actually knows what's happening in the music, as opposed to coming in to listen to a finished product and then essentially putting a vocal on a backing track. This is more, we're all in it from the ground up, from the demo I do in my little home studio, wherever I am in South Africa, or even if it's on my phone and I'm sending something over to Mark. It's more of a natural growth where I'm involved from the beginning to what you hear that'll be on the radio and a music video. It's a more fulfilling process, I'd say, because I've seen it grow from what's inside my head through my fingers on my guitar or my piano to a finished sound that will hopefully please your ears.
And where do you start when you write a song? Do you start with a melody, a lyric? Whereabouts do you start?
I don't know. It used to be that I didn't really mind. Today it's more focused on what I'm singing because of the nature of the album Conversations over time. I think I often start with an idea, and then it translates into melody. So in today's kind of process, I'd say I have an idea, not necessarily the lyrics, but the idea towards which I'll grow on the lyrics and then add in a melody and then marry it with lyrics. Robin Gibb taught me that. Before Robin got sick, we were actually recording in studio. It was we just put down our vocals together, and the next day was one of the first that he got rushed into hospital. So thank goodness recently he's come out of his coma and he's doing better. But he taught me one of the most amazing things I ever learned about music was it's not about having the best lyrics or the best music. It's about the best marriage between the two things. It's not about what note you're playing and what note you're not playing. It's about the harmony and the sound and the idea that it brings to a beautiful picture. And that I learned more from that man in, I'd say, one day than from anyone else in years.
And presumably the stuff that you're working on with Robin, is that going to make it onto the final album?
I hope so. Hopefully Robin gets better and we were able to finish it, but I don't know. I think it might be separate to the album, but hopefully definitely get to hear it.
We'll be excited to hear it when it does come out.
Yeah, I often kind of, it's on my iPod, so when it's like, if I put it on shuffle or something like that, it'll pop up and I'll be like, I did something with a BG that's just like, who gets to say that?
Yeah,
very privileged, yeah.
It must be quite a strange feeling that, to be able to say you worked with a BG.
Yeah, and I mean, who would have thought, like when you think of what you're going to do in the, with the rest of your life, that was just one thing I didn't kind of expect to happen. It just naturally happened, and it was one person meeting another, and then wham, I'm going, hi Robin, it's nice to meet you. But great experience. That was something, it was a moment in my life that I'll cherish forever and ever, and a conversation in my own time that will never be forgotten, if that makes sense poetically.
So let's talk a bit about the promotion side, because as you say, you are independent, you release your own music, you do your own publishing. How important is it for things like social media for you to be able to connect with fans and get people hearing about your music? How do you use those kind of tools?
It's really important. I'd say that social media, well, if any musicians are listening right now, I'd say social media is definitely one of the most important things to do. Things like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube are massive tools to be able to promote your music and put it out, especially on an affordable way. There are professionals that handle accounts for people and do your actual online marketing, which I actually recommend. I'd say they're really important today though, because of the reach that an independent, especially an independent individual, will have as opposed to a major label. It all comes down to pockets really. So obviously when you sign with a major or whichever record label, there's pockets behind you, and as an individual, unless you're, I don't know, Richard Branson maybe, your pocket's slightly different. But so social media is an online tool that's fantastic for reaching your fans. And in fact, we're doing something quite cool at the moment, which is for my next music video, we're searching for the leading lady. And it's a simple way of entering Twitter or Facebook. So this is using the online again. Ladies just need to submit their picture, tag me in it, and get the most votes that they can. And the people with the most votes at the end of the day will come to the auditions with me. In fact, I'm actually thinking of opening it up so that it didn't matter where you were in the world. We'd fly you to wherever we were doing the video. So if you're a lady in the UK and you're the role that we need, well, come on over. So I'm thinking about doing that. But it's just a fantastic tool to spread the word.
See, I'm impressed because when we saw you 2 years ago, you were just getting into Twitter.
Yeah.
And the concept of Twitter was quite new to you, and I remember trying to sell it into you back then. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if well, to be honest, it's still the same thing for me. I just can't believe that anybody really wants to know what I'm doing kind of right now. What do you have for breakfast? Well, it doesn't matter. But I don't know, people love it. I find myself following my Twitter page going, what's Pip doing today? But yeah, it's come quite a long way, and now I understand it a whole lot better. But that's also probably because I'm trying to run my own label. So I suppose you eventually have to go hands-on and work it all out for yourself. And Twitter's not that complicated, is it?
No, although people do find it really difficult. I mean, I guess it's replaced general conversation and keeping in touch with people, hasn't it? You send a short tweet going, how are you? Fine. That's it. You don't send emails anymore. It's replacing everything.
Yeah, it's taking over, isn't it? The days of the instant message almost, or the tweet. I think it's a fascinating thing, technology. In fact, I'm working on a music platform myself, which is it's a technological platform, which will allow people in music to be able to do a whole bunch of stuff never quite thought of in this manner. So I love technology, and that's probably one of the reasons that I now recently decided to check out more about Twitter, the inner workings of something like Facebook, or just how social media and social networks connect. So yeah, been an interesting couple of years.
Have you got into iPads yet?
I had one. I won't say I gave it to my brother. But I've got my MacBook just with me, never go anywhere without it. I got my iPhone in the pocket, and besides that, what else do you need?
It's amazing again for somebody like yourself that you're getting your album together. You can just record on the go, can't you? You can put your ideas down.
It's unbelievable. In fact, just on my right is my Layla, my electric guitar. She's so special. There's a new device called an iRig, and if you're watching, go check it out on Google or something. You can actually plug your electric guitar into the iRig and go through your phone into headphones and have a full electric session. It's unbelievable. On the go, record it, make a song, send it to your producer. It's just incredible what you can do today.
And you can upload it on your iPhone to
you can do whatever you want. Which I gotta say, like I don't know, I kind of feel like it's a good thing and a bad thing, because it allows people an easy way to record music, but at the same time, that's not always a good thing. You know, there was a reason that people used to be so good at what they did so many years ago, because there was no cheat way of making it sound good. You had to be good to sound good. Whereas today, we have so much available at our fingertips that it's like you could pretty much do anything. But it's a positive because you can create a song on the go. So yeah, I hope people are doing it, and there's certainly a multitude of talents out there in the world. So I just hope that we've got what it takes to be up there.
Let's talk about live performances. You were saying before we turned the camera on that you've got something coming up in the next week or so. Yeah. When else can we expect to see you playing live? Have you got anything set up, or is there anything that you're trying to
There's
do?
a bunch of stuff. If you're willing to hop on a plane, you could come to South Africa in the next month or two. We're doing a whole bunch. Well, I am. There's a whole bunch of shows going on, and it's quite cool because the album was written all on guitar and all on piano. So we've taken the whole thing that goes from crashing drums and massive strings and huge sounds just down to piano, an acoustic guitar and a bass. So the whole thing, conversations over time, is you come to the show, I'll tell you why I wrote every song, which are my favorite lyrics, all that kind of stuff in between each song. And it's a special thing for me to interact with an audience who gets to see why I wrote them and where the crazy thoughts come from. But then to actually understand that they often feel the same way. Often people come to me and say, thank you for having the ability to say what I was thinking in a song, which is a good feeling for me, because as a writer, that's what you always want to know, that what you've written has in some way helped someone through a situation.
In some way, I guess it validates, doesn't it, what you've written and put out there. If it helps somebody else, if they find something in it, then that can only be a good thing.
Big time. I really believe that the gift of a good songwriter is to be able to influence someone else, or at least help their thinking pattern or their thoughts or their memory or something spark, so that I don't know if other people will relate, but I remember specific situations because of a song. So I remember talking to an ex-girlfriend because we were listening to a specific song which will come on the radio years later, will make me think of her, and just stuff like that will come up. So to have your song be that song that reminds someone else of something cool that happened in their life, or even something uncool, but it maybe over time it's not so bad anymore and they've learned to deal with it, so that will just kind of jog a memory. I find it's a gift, and I always thank God for that.
And going back to the album, what's your favourite track on there? Is there one particular one that you just absolutely love and love to perform? That's
a tough one, but I'd say that I love performing. Well, I think when people hear the album one day, there'll be tracks you'll hear like Butterfly, Best Friend, Broken Man, and something I actually just wrote with a fantastic songwriter, Andrew Murray. Great guy. Went up to his house and stayed with him and his family for a while, and we wrote a new song which I hope the world over, everywhere hears this song. It's called Space for the Lonely, and it was a crazy thought that I had, asking, well, loneliness is such a horrible feeling. Do you think that whoever created that feeling had ever felt it? And if they had felt loneliness before, and if they had understood just how horrible it is, do you think they still would have created it? So it's kind of going, well, that's not me having a guy, God or an angel or anyone. It's just going, if somebody, could have felt that feeling before creating it, would they still have made it? And that's Space for the Lonely. In other words, who made space for lonely? And,
sounds really interesting.
Yeah, well, that's what goes on in my head all the time, questioning everything. So some cool stuff coming up. I want to make a book. You tell me what you think of this idea when we're done. But I want to make a book called Conversations Over Time, with each of the lyrics that I've written, why I wrote them, how I wrote them, all the idea, and actually publish a book with lyrics to people to say, this is kind of like modern day poetry in a way. Because I think too many people are used to hearing about stuff for which they don't really care too much. So these are the kind of lyrics that will hopefully touch your heart and that you'd gladly read to someone because they're important to you. So yeah, just kind of where my head is.
It sounds like an interesting idea. Again, it's just something a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, just it's different, and I think it's old school. They used to, back in the day, they used to print the lyrics of the top 10 songs in a magazine, and everyone used to run to get the magazine to see A, what the top 10 songs were, and then B, oh cool, check out these lyrics, let's learn them, let's go to the gig, let's sing along. But today it's just all instantly accessible from wherever you are, so I don't think we value it as much anymore. So going to all the effort to read up on the lyrics for a reason other than you found it on Google or something like that, because you love them so much, now they're in front of you in a book, it may be pretty cool to go back to.
Well, with the death of CD, I mean, you don't see kids or anybody start looking at inlays for albums anymore. They just download it and look at the cover photo, listen to the music, and never look at the lyrics. Yeah. And it's weird. I remember being a child and sitting painstakingly reading through every lyric of my favourite album until I knew it off by heart. Yeah, exactly. It's sad, isn't it? It's a completely new era, I guess, where but it's always evolving, and like I say, just like with technology, it's a good and a bad. So there's always a yin and a yang, a positive and a negative. So you'll find that because downloads are happening more, people are still able to make money in the music business, and people can get what they want quicker. And then again, so the negative side is, well, you didn't actually need to do all the pictures that you did in the photo shoot. You just needed the one for the cover. But you're just finding
that people can get to what they want. They just may not want more. So if you didn't grab them with that one song that they downloaded, the odds are maybe they won't go back to your album. Whereas before, they were kind of getting the album, growing with you, growing to love you, and hopefully growing old with you. So that's kind of my philosophy, or my idea, is that I'd love to capture the hearts and minds of people today and have them grow into fans, and as I grow older, so they grow older with me. Because I guess that's what everyone wants, not to be one song or two songs or the winner of an X Factor today and forgotten tomorrow. You want to grow with people.
And there is a trend for, just going back to lyrics, there's a trend for lyric videos, I've noticed.
Yeah,
now. People
big
release those. Is that something that you'll be doing with your singles?
I definitely want to. Also because it's a great way of putting your music out. So if I put my music out on YouTube or something without having to go through a full-on production on a music video, it's a great way of putting out the lyrics, getting attention to it, and getting a new song out as a video, which is strange because a video was always where you're performing, but today a video can actually just be music and words on the screen. That's a great thing.
So tell us, what's your plan in terms of your music then over the next few months? When do we expect the album or another single, or anything from you?
Kind of looking at, we're kind of answering all those questions at the moment. There's a bunch of planning going on. I know we're looking at doing a release into the UK. There's a definite plan to go into America. And obviously it's already out in my hometown, South Africa, well, home country, South Africa, and in my hometown, Johannesburg. We're talking about doing the UK, and I've got my team here, which I've worked with before. Now it's just a case of which song, and should we do this or should we do that, how to package it, how to promote it, and then of course to play. The reason musicians exist, to perform. So there's a bunch of planning going on. So I think you can definitely expect a whole bunch of online things happening and downloads, but I couldn't give you an exact plan today on what's happening in the UK, but I can tell you there will be something happening.
So hopefully next time we see you, which will not be 2 years,
no, hopefully not,
we should listen to some of your music and see it out there and see what people are reacting to it like.
Definitely. Well, maybe because we have known each other for 2 years, we'll actually send you something first. That's a good idea.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so we'll send you something first. In fact, the word music video, the lyric video, call it that, we'll send that to you first.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
So my last question for you is, where do you want to be in, say, in a year's time? Where would you like to be with your music?
Out is the only answer. I'd like to be performing. I'd like to be constantly showing people conversations over time, in whatever format that it comes out, whether it's a full album, an EPK, or just double offerings. I'd like to be out and about and around, so not in one territory specifically, but just around. So if it means jumping on a plane to different places, I want to be out there sharing the music with people, whether it goes in the shape of one day doing a JV or moving into a bigger record label or something with bigger reach. That's great with me. The world is kind of like, it feels like my oyster at the moment. We can do anything we want as long as the product is good and you've got a good attitude, feet on the ground, and going for it. Doesn't matter as long as it's getting out.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. In fact, I met, there was quite an unbelievable thing. I met Ewan McGregor and 50 Cent the other day. And it's kind of like you're asking me about where I want to be in a year. The interesting about them, particularly when I spoke to 50 Cent, was he was saying 50 Cent is massive and a huge superstar. And he was still saying, I'm not finished. I haven't hit my peak yet. I'm still developing. He's like, in a year's time, I want to do X, Y, and Z. So to look at that and kind of go, well, he still wants to get out there. So can you imagine what I want to do? It's like 6,000 million, however times percent as much as that. I just want to get it out and get going. And hopefully it does.